On the line right now, I have SABC's international news editor, Sophie Mokoena, and this, of course, for the latest on some of those international stories. Sophie, good morning. And we start, of course, with the vote counting situation in Botswana. And with Botswana having completed its election, what can we expect from the forthcoming votes in the United States and Namibia as well?
Well, I think let's start with Botswana. Clearly, the ruling party has lost elections, even though the final results haven't been announced. Because when you look at the preliminary results, you see a situation where the UDC has won most seats in parliament, the opposition, and it's followed by the other opposition with 8 seats, and then you have the last one, BPF, with 5 seats. And you would recall that BPF is the party that was supported by the then president of Botswana, Ian Khama, previous elections. And therefore, with BDP, the governing party that has been in power since 1966, they only have 1 seat right now. And therefore, even if they were to pick up, I think they are going to be there at around 4 or 5 seats. And definitely the opposition combined will reach a threshold of 33. And therefore, I can't see BDP making a comeback. A huge, huge loss and an embarrassment for Mokgweetsi Masisi, the current president, who is now a one-term president, and sending shockwaves in the region. As you know, that BDP is part of the liberation organization. Only months after the governing party, ruling party in South Africa, lost its majority during the election. And therefore, you can see the trend that the former liberation organizations in the region are beginning to fade away. And now all eyes are on Namibia, as the country will be going to elections this month. And in Namibia, the problem there, you have SWAPO with a very senior candidate. And when you look at the trend, the young people in different countries in the region are the ones who are propelling the leaders to occupy those positions. And with the current candidate of Namibia, the question is, will she be able to pull enough numbers to make it? And the next stop will be Tanzania in 2026. Chama Penduza is also under siege from the opposition. And the trend here is the breakaway from governing parties, not necessarily the old parties that have been there as opposition. For example, in South Africa, you have MK, you have EFF, you have UDM. These are breakaways or parties whose leaders came from the ANC. And as it started after 2009 with COPE, the governing party constantly shedding votes, and finally not being able to pull its majority this year. So with other countries in the region, it looks like it's becoming a similar trend, and indeed a bloodbath in Botswana.
And of course, those quite interesting sentiments there, Sophie. And again, as you say, a change. So it's going to be interesting to see with those elections that you mentioned coming up, you know, how SWAPO does in Namibia and so on. But of course, also pivotal next week is the United States. And this is a big one and still too close to call. Sophie?
Very close to call. And any prediction right now might be misleading. It is a tough one. Both the candidates are doing their best to kind of convince the undecided voters. And the pendulum is swinging this way and that way every time a leader takes to the podium with some of the statements. And therefore, it is a tight race. And next week, it will be clear only towards Friday or Thursday who will be the president of the United States of America. And I think we must also expect court challenges depending who has won. We know that Donald Trump is likely going to continue to fight, even taking matters to the courts if he doesn't win. With Kamala Harris, maybe she will concede defeat if she doesn't win. It is a tight race, but trust SABC International News. We will cover the elections in the swing states, including the New York, and of course the seat of government, that is Washington. Trust the SABC.
Very, very interesting on there, Sophie. And of course, we'll be looking to you to keep us abreast of those developments and bring that analysis as well. And that, of course, SABC's very own Sophie Mokoena there with the latest in terms of what's happened, that shock defeat in Botswana for the ruling party there. And of course, we're going to elections next week in the United States and Namibia. So it's quite an interesting one.